Hi, we're the directing duo Alex and Steffen, and you are watching Eclectic Arts Media.
Because of the color green, not a lot of people choose it. I don't know why.
Hi, I'm Jackson, and this is...
I'm Jake Shimobukuro.
And you're watching Eclectic Arts Media.
If I can walk out of the ring the way I walked into it, I'm happy.
Going to somewhere like that and playing those places that all those bands that you listen to play.
First line of the show, life's not fair, is it?
And then I'm singing and I'm going, I'm not all by myself anymore.
Oh, whoa. Whoa.
I know.
I can get a look at my good-looking cat.
My name is Tyler Campbell, and I'm playing Actor 3 in Taproot's production of A Sherlock Carol, and you are watching Eclectic Arts Media.
I mean, I'm with me every day, all day.
Even with editing, I get irritated. I'm like, but I get quite stubborn,
And you sit in, okay, I believe you. So,
hello, my name is Richard Winslonaker. I play Hercule Poirot at Taproot and Murder on the Lake.
I think I forgot your question, but I went on a different path, but it felt great.
And I need to keep as much hair as possible because, particularly in Hindley Street, no one's got hair. You'd fit right in, Mark. So,
how come the clone thing hasn't caught on yet? Like, I would love to have my own clone.
Hello, beautiful clients.
And you're watching Eclectic Arts Media.
Right. They may be super confused. Like, what is this woman talking about?
all right, look here. Hey, this is Alex Story for Cancer Slug. This is Cancer Slug. And you're watching Eclectic Arts Media. See, I said it right.
Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts Media, based here in Seattle, Washington. And thank you so much for joining me today on Monday, the 5th of January, 2026. 2026. Happy New Year, everyone. And I'm glad to be back here. We're back. We've reset to number 1 on my notes here. So this is number 1 out of 416 live streams I've done all time. And I would like to thank my last guest, which was Jupiter Jetson, who's always been fantastic. And if I could interview her or have her on every week, I would. And so it was really great catching up with her back on, I think it was about the middle of December, right before Christmas or so. And speaking of which, I have another live stream coming up. And I love doing fun table sessions. These are things that started during the pandemic. They were basically like a happy hour hangout. I would bring different creatives together who had never met each other typically, and we would just kind of shoot the breeze about all kinds of different topics. And they've continued on. I don't do them as much, schedules and just trying to get different people's things together. And typically they're at the end of the year. And so having one at the beginning of the year is really, actually, I can't remember the last time I've had one in January, but this is going to be taking place tomorrow, Tuesday, the 6th of January at 5 p.m. Pacific. And I have Mike Rule and Steve Kafalis scheduled to come back. These two gentlemen have not talked with each other since 2020. So it's been 5.5 years. I think that was like September of 2020 we did their fun table session. So Mike's down in Atlanta with One Drummer Drumming, and he's a part of Red Hot Empty, and he's a CEO of Shooting Star, which is a skydiving company, and he's somebody I went to high school with. And then Steve Kafalis is the amazing Dr. Drum from Alice, which is the band that sent me on this virtual path back in 2020. They're the ones that asked me if I would open up their virtual tour. And we did, what was it? I can't remember. It's been so long. I think it was about 59 shows on that tour that I opened up with interviews of a variety of guests. And so Steve's going to be joining us. And for those that don't know, we call him Dr. Drum because he is a emergency room physician down at Cedars-Sinai in LA. So he's got a multitude of things going on. He's also a terrific lighting designer, which hopefully we'll get into. But that's tomorrow at 5 p.m. All right. So if you'd like to know more of what I can't speak today, more of what I have coming up, Please follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram. That's where I post everything first, and then some of that information migrates over to other social media platforms. And I would also like to say that if this is your first time on my YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you really want to know like specifically what's coming up. But hitting the subscribe button definitely helps me with every subscription. And if you're over on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me over there, that's where I started all of this virtual work with Alice, was over on Twitch. And if you're really wanting to support me beginning of the year, which is always hard after the holiday season, there's a PayPal me and a Venmo link in every live stream description that I do, and every dollar goes back into what I do, because this service costs me money. The backdrop stuff sometimes costs me, not the stuff on it, but the actual the green backdrop itself, and I haven't bought a new one in, it's been a while. So any dollar helps, but only if you're in a position to do so. But it's greatly appreciated. And what I'd like to say before I start doing my introduction is that most people know locally that I review theater and musical theater and a bunch of other things around here. This might actually come up during our conversation. But one thing I wanted to do is talking to my guest pre-show is that there's a lot of people that I really enjoy their work. Some of us are connected on social media, but I've never had a conversation with a lot of these folks: actors, playwrights, directors, producers, everything you can kind of think of. So I want to hopefully be able to continue doing more of these type of interviews throughout 2026. I already have a couple people in mind, but if you're somebody that's watching this right now or watching it down the road and you're like, hey, I wouldn't mind coming on and talking to you, or you have reviewed one of my shows, or again, we're connected on social media, or maybe we're not, maybe you're just going to be introducing yourself to me and we can kind of go from there. Again, I kind of know now how much I can take on with my schedule with in-person events and then virtual events, but please don't hesitate to reach out. And that's kind of where I'll kind of leave that for now. But my first guest in the new year is an actor that I've seen perform locally here in the greater Seattle area. I've also viewed a few of his film projects as well. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Media virtual studio, Mr. Josiah Miller.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, how you doing, Josiah?
I'm doing great, man. I think the new year's off to a good start, and I'm really, I'm really glad that I'm the first guest of the new wave, as it were.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you could take the time, and I can also kind of tell you that in some years, when I get to like November, I look back at January and say, who was the first person? Oh, it was Josiah. You might hear from me
Yeah.
about, do you want to finish out December with me? And we kind of bookend things. It's been kind of fun doing that in the past.
Yeah, it's nice to revisit things in a gap of time, but not too wide, where there's enough time to remember the conversation and maybe give some on the dot updates, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And with the way my memory is, I need to do things like really quick, really quickly. Got the memory of a goldfish here. But so we were kind of talking pre-show.
Yeah.
And for folks that aren't familiar with you or your work and some of your background artistically, please take a minute to introduce yourself and what you do.
Sure. Yeah. So my name's Josiah Miller. I primarily am an actor, but I would say all around a creative type. I've done the majority of my work early on was theater, but the heart of my dream was to do film. And recently I started breaking in there. The scene here, the filmmaking scene's pretty nascent. It's pretty, it's still developing. It could become something. We'll see. And so I've gotten to do a lot of that as well. Recently, more commercial work I've been privileged to do. But yeah, starting with theater, but I would say I do acting, I do editing on videos, sometimes just for myself, sometimes for I've done a couple weddings, filmed them, edited them. I'm really into stage combat, so I've taken stage combat classes, how to be safe when you're performing fight scenes, which I've done, quite a few actually. And I want to get into directing more and more. I've done some stage assistant directing, but I think I could be good at film directing because I really care about the collaboration side of it. I've been doing acting since 6th grade. I'm 31 now, so been doing it over half my life essentially. So yeah,
Okay, that's so when you mentioned that you started in 6th grade,
Mhm.
was that something that the class was doing, or something that you chose to be a part of that got you started?
It's kind of a funny story. So yeah, it was a class project, and I was always into stories before. I was had my nose in a book a lot, and for this 6th grade project, they basically had it's only like a 45-minute production they have the kids put on, but it was a musical, and they asked for who was going to be the male lead, and I no none of the men, the boys, I guess, volunteered, and I was selected at random. I was chosen, and there was that initial fear, but that experience made me confident enough to keep going, and I worked with kids stage after that, and then all through high school, and now I've just been doing projects. I've taken a bit of a break past couple of years, but from the theater scene. But yeah, I just started doing projects with whatever theater I could reach around here.
Okay, that was going to be my other follow-up question. So everything that you've done has been locally. So you're born and raised in Washington State, then?
Yeah, I haven't lived in any other state yet. My fiance, she likes to travel, and so far she's been to. I think I took her to her 26th state, and I have only been to. It's pretty low. I've only been to around 12. So.
Okay, so that sounds like perhaps there might be a change in the future, depending, basically, especially with your fiance being so into traveling and visiting other places.
Yeah, the possibility does exist. I'm definitely open to it.
Okay, cool. I forgot to let everybody know that if you're watching this live right now, and if you want to ask Josiah a question, or if you have a comment, you can just join the YouTube channel or join the Twitch channel, and you should see a live chat box. Please be aware that he typically would not see these questions. I'm the one that will see them. I will pepper those into our conversation as we go along. That's interesting that that first production was a musical. Were you a musical person back then, or?
Not really. I mean, I could sing decently. I did. I think around the time I did some, Christmas pageants, some choir stuff. So I definitely could sing. I had a love of music, but musical theater was not something I was super into.
Okay, and this is something that some people know, some people don't know. I love musical theater now, but if this was maybe 10 plus years ago, you couldn't have paid me to go to anything musical theater oriented. I can also add ballet to that list. I can add opera to that list. So it's funny to me that I love it so much now, and I review it, and all these other things have happened. But yeah, this other part of my life, it was like, get that stuff away from me. I don't want. Why are they singing about this? Why can't they just talk about it? And some of my friends love to remind me of that fact. That remember when you couldn't even offer this and offer a free ticket and dinner to get you to go to the show with me? I was like, yeah, I remember those days. Now it's the other way around, where people are bugging me. Can I be your +1 to go to a show?
Well, I guess I'm curious. What would you say? It's rarely one singular event. What would you say is a contributing factor or contributing event maybe that helped break you into being more eclectic in your media?
That's a great question. Well, I would say, and I've kind of talked about this a little bit. I started in 2011. It was a fanzine, a hard copy fanzine. I still have copies around here somewhere. I'm a music geek, nerd, whatever you want to call it. I loved rock, hard rock, metal, that kind of thing. But then I branched into all types of different genres. So everything was pretty much music based. When I started moving away from the hard copy and going to things online, doing music stuff, there's a few like conventions, like pop culture things. I was also heavily into craft beer, so I even had some brewery stuff in there, and so it was eclectic to an extent. But what I consider the art side, which is, I mean, it's all arts, but really the big art side kicked in 2018, May specifically of 2018. And what happened was that I was just interested in interviewing somebody from a touring musical. I saw that this musical was coming to the Paramount as part of Broadway at the Paramount. And I had not been to, I think the last show I'd seen was probably Wicked in 2015. And that's because family wanted to go. So I said, okay, yeah, I'll go along too, whatever. But I thought it'd be really interesting to interview somebody that lives that life, doing 8 shows for a week and then they go to the next city and doing it again and doing it again. And I have the music background. So I'm like, well, that might be enough to kind of get me going. And both of the leads at the time, so the musical was Love Never Dies, which was the sequel to Phantom of the Opera.
Yep.
And so I'd never seen it, didn't know anything about it or any of the notoriety around it or anything. But I reached out through the websites for each individual lead. And one of them, which was the female lead who was playing Christine Daae, sent that information over to the local rep here in Seattle. And she's still the local rep here in Seattle, so hopefully she's not seeing this, but we kind of went through back and forth, and I understand from her perspective, she's got to deal with New York and all these other kind of aspects of like, who is this person that wants to talk to this, especially the lead of this show that's coming here. And at that point, I had nothing behind me other than like concert reviews and things like that. I didn't have any theater reviews or opera or ballet or whatever. So rightfully so, she needed to ask me some questions, just sure she's vetting me correctly. And I thought I answered them very properly. I remember I came home from work one day and so I'm going to sit here and really give thought out answers. And boy, she could probably laugh about it now with me because we have a good relationship, but she sent back this reply that had all capital letters. Everything was in red, like I was in school, and talking about, nope, that's not going to happen. Nope, that's not going to happen. And all these kind of things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, who is this woman? And do I really want to stay here and do this? And me being kind of the way I am, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to keep pushing on this and just kind of, take the high road, answer her questions about how I can do this better or whatever, and just see where it goes. And I had a follow up with her on Sunday. The show is going to be opening, I believe, on Tuesday. And then she finally got back to me and said, be here at 3:30. And I'm like, okay, what day? Monday, Tuesday?
Today.
And she was like, I think it was the day before the show or maybe the day of the show. I got down there, being the way I am, I got down there at 3 just to make sure I didn't get traffic wasn't going to mess me up because I live north too, not far north as you do, but I'm north of Seattle. Got down there, had all my gear, I was going through things, triple checking stuff, and I was waiting by the stage door where we were supposed to meet her assistant, and then the news van for Como TV showed up, and the anchor came out and the TV guy came out, and they're like, hey, we're actually early for once for our assignment. And we were the press that were going to be doing the interviews that day. And so that made me super nervous because I'm like this independent freelance guy that's never talked to anybody in a musical ever. And then here's local TV here doing the exact same thing. But we went upstairs, and the guest, the lead, she couldn't have been better. Such a nice lady, so animated, just had a perfect guest. But I can tell you this little side thing, and I won't take up too much more time, but the Como folks went first, understandably. So they're setting up all their lights and everything. And that reporter turned to me and told me to get out of the room so that I don't, disturb their set. And if she had said it like in a polite, professional way, I said, hey, no problem. I understand. I don't want to bang into something and screw up your recording or whatever. I'll get over here to the hallway. But she said it like looking down her nose at me. And I'm like, okay, when it's my turn, I'm going to say the exact same thing to that woman. And I did. And the look on her face was priceless. Like, and she couldn't say anything because everyone else is there. There's a whole entourage of people from Broadway at the Paramount and all this stuff. So she and her cameraman went out into this hallway. And the fun part was when all of this was done, all of us had to get into the elevator to go back downstairs. So talk about awkward.
Yeah.
But I feel that, you push me into a corner or treat me disrespectfully like that, I don't care who you are, I'm going to stand my ground. And if anything, I probably had to work harder to get this thing. In terms of you, this is probably one of 8 stories you're doing today, but there's no need to be rude to people. That's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah.
And she was very, very rude to me. But so that interview is what was really a linchpin to me then reviewing that show. And then the first local thing for me was at Taproot Theater.
Yeah.
And here's all these kind of weird things connect. I'd been there in March of 2018 covering a concert in the Isaac Studio, the little small rental studio that they have there. And I reviewed and photographed that show. And then when I'm thinking after this whole thing with Love Never Dies, I'm like, well, I know there's a lot of theater companies around town. I just haven't been to any of them. And then that one popped into my head. Oh, remember that one that that you did that concert at? They had another room there because all these people were coming in during the intermission for coffee and all that. So I reached out to them, and I got into the very end of Lady Windermere's Fan that they were doing. And they put me in just because I was new media. And I went there, and I'm like, this is kind of cool. I think I'm going to keep exploring this. So then I went to like Edmund Driftwood Players, and I went to Phoenix, and Village came the next year, and some of these other things. I just started looking around. But if I had not stayed with that interview with Love Never Dies, I don't know if you and I would be talking right now, honestly. So
it's always those small decisions that ripple out and change the course of things.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before, that there's the film from like 1985, Wall Street, that Oliver Stone did with Charlie Sheen and Gordon Gekko, Michael Douglas, the whole bit. And I always reference that scene when he's trying so hard to get into Gekko's office, and he's waiting out there because the office manager, secretary said, go wait out here in the morning. And then she comes over to him and says, 5 minutes. So he's going to get his 5 minutes to talk to him, and he goes and adjusts his tie in the mirror, and he says something to the effect of, they say life comes down to a few moments. This is one of them. And I kind of keep that in the same part of my head, that you just never realize it until you look back. I'm like, yeah, look what happened to my media outlet because I stayed the course and I had a genuine interest in wanting to talk to somebody from a musical. So here we are now. And I used to live in Edmonds for over 20 years. So that's where, like, going to the Phoenix, I think that's probably the first place I saw you perform in. It was the Jekyll and Hyde show.
Yes. Yes, Chemical Imbalance. Yeah, that was the first review. And then I believe you hit I Hate Hamlet which was the next one I did. And then I think the next one was probably Christmas at Pemberley in 23, but
yeah, I think you're right. And we can, I could I could go through all kinds of things from my side of the media part of it, but I won't. But I'm kind of curious for you. Are you an actor that, do you look at reviews, or you're like, I try not to look at them, even if they're positive or negative?
Great question. I think I love it personally. I love looking at reviews. I think part of the reason for that is that unlike some other people, when it comes, there's some people where they won't rewatch their films, they won't rewatch their pro tapes, anything like that. They won't go back because they're too self-critical. I think a genuine part of how I operate is that I kind of ride the line where I think I found the right balance of being self-critical and giving myself the grace, and so it actually helps me to improve. So if I see that I have a review, I immediately go to check it out and read it, partially to hear about how they thought about me and the show, but I also genuinely have an interest in the art of media critique. I have a Letterboxd account. I did a couple podcasts that were based around reviewing film. So to me, like from a genuine standpoint, I want to see how they looked at it from the audience point of view, because I can't see the show from their point of view. So to me, I always run to the reviews, and so far I haven't gotten any blistering condemnation of me or anything like that. It'll come, I'm sure, because I think it's a truism that you haven't made it till you have haters. No, so no, I'm all about it. I think it's a part of the process, and you don't have to let it get you down necessarily, because if someone didn't like your performance, you can read what they have to say or listen to what they have to say, and if you think part of it's valid, take the valid part. If you think part of it's invalid, it's just someone's opinion. I actually had a recent moment where I was reviewing a film, and I thought to myself, there's the strong possibility someone could see my review, check out my account, see my website, check out a project I'd done and think that I've done some trash. And I had that moment of processing and going, and that's completely fair. As long as you're not being mean-spirited, I think that healthy criticism is good. So
Okay, I like your attitude toward it. It's also interesting about your film critiquing background and podcast background.
Yeah.
So you really know what I think most reviewers probably are going through at times, especially if they're kind of struggling with the show. Like, it kind of worked for me or it kind of didn't, and how am I going to write this? And I can tell you when I first started this stuff in 2018 that I went online, and I don't know if that was a good idea or not, on social media things, and looked at some groups, especially locally. And the two things that kept cropping up from different threads and stuff was that the local theater reviewers were too nice.
Yep.
And then the other one was that they were trying to run somebody out of town who I don't even know what she did or if it was warranted or not. It was getting really vicious. And I'm kind of, whoa, this is like venom's being spewed kind of a thing. Like, what has this woman been saying or writing? What is it, her attitude when she shows up or whatever? But that was what I saw at the beginning. So I'm kind of like,
yeah.
I guess I just need to write the way I would write. Again, I do have a background as a creative person with writing, photography, and music, that I would never slam somebody. If something doesn't work for me, I can look over here, and it's happened recently, and someone's in tears at a performance that's not working for me. So I'm like, people process things differently. But I also know, at least with some of the folks, and I'm one of them because I used to perform music in a little duo around town and coffee shops and breweries and stuff, that we had one in particular, one gig where, God, this guy was just giving us the business. I mean, he was just this relentless. And this was an outdoor gig. It's a sunny day. We're at a brewery. I'm drinking
He's just
beer.
heckling you?
Yeah, he's giving us shit the whole time. And eventually he left, but my skin's a little thicker than my singer's. She was really mortified by that gig.
Yeah.
And on top of it, this is a place where you can bring kids to. He had his, like, I'm assuming that was his son, in like a little wagon behind him. And so he's saying this awful stuff to us while his kid's right there. And I used to be a teacher a long time ago, so I have this kind of thing that kind of comes along with anything to do with children in the space like that, when you're doing something so horribly negative to someone who you really don't know. We're just trying to play some 80s cover tunes to hopefully make your drinking experience a little better, but apparently we were making his worse.
Maybe it was his favorite band.
Maybe.
He was very elitist about your cover.
Yeah, as soon as we started off with that, that In Excess song or whatever, he's okay, I'm done. I don't want to. This version's terrible. But so I get it from being in that position myself, and I'm not an actor. I've never been on a stage or anything like that. But from my perspective, when I'm writing something, I'm going to be as honest as I can, but I'm going to do it in hopefully a way that's somewhat constructive. Again, I don't want to go there and say this person was just blah 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 blah, and they shouldn't be on a stage, and they shouldn't, they have no business being in the theater. That's not my position to say that kind of thing at all. But I also feel that if something isn't working for him, I do need to point it out, because then what's the point of the critique? I have seen some that are so positive, and everyone that I kind of skim through, I'm like, so do you just love everything? I don't love everything.
I've also seen reviews where I think, and I say this with all due respect, to me the worst kind of reviews are, they're not even a review, they're a summary. And my perspective is, as an audience member who goes to see shows, I don't need a summary. I just need to know the qualities about it that are going to make me want to go see it, and then I'll have the story, right? So, a little bit of meat there about what worked, what didn't work. And I would say, not to name names at all, I think a common cultural thing, maybe you know about this because you seem to be tapped into some of the critical fields or cultures of the area. But usually I find that if someone doesn't like something, they just won't mention it, or they don't like an actor, they just won't mention them, but they'll mention everybody else. And you're like, okay,
Yeah. It's interesting with that. I know, like early on with my reviews, I was like, either I need to talk about everyone in the cast, or I shouldn't talk about anybody, because I don't want feeling like somebody's like, for that reason, thinking like I don't like them. That's why I didn't mention them. And a lot of times, I'll be honest, it's because I'm trying to hit a deadline and I'm trying to get this thing done. I still see some people that, man, they will really take the time to go through every person in the cast, and that's great for them. I love it. But like to your point, usually I'll actually write this in my, I don't go through plot points with films, with theater, because it's like, I want to give you my impression of what I think this worked or this didn't work, and here's why. The rest of the stuff, if you go, you'll figure that out on your own when you're there. And in many cases, you already probably even know what it's about. If it's about Sherlock Holmes, it's about, a Disney thing or whatever, you already have, the plot's already in your head. And what I've been told, at least from the Pacific Northwest Ballet and a little bit from the Seattle Opera, that when I started reviewing for them, specifically with Gary at the PNB, who's awesome. Hi, Gary. He's wonderful. I was really nervous about sending him my first review for the PNB, because I'm like, I'm a fish out of water. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to be looking at here. I can just tell you what I felt from certain acts of this ballet. And he wrote back this really long email to me telling me that, Mark, this is exactly what I want from you, because you are coming from the outside. I already have established reviewers that have been coming for years, and we're losing subscribers, we're losing patrons, and we can't figure out, how do we get the younger generation here? We don't know what it is. So we need that outside perspective, and guess what? You're it. I'm like, well, great. I can give you that. I can definitely give you that, because I don't come from a schooled background in journalism or in ballet or in the fine high arts of ballet. So I'll be learning along with you if people are okay with that. Now I'm to a point where I can't use that as an excuse. I've been going to
you've done enough now. You're in the weeds.
Yep. Now it's like, you better say something that makes sense, because you've been going to too many of these. But it's definitely been a process. And opera, good God, I mean, there's so much to learn about. And I was getting stuff from the library and talking to other critics that have been doing this for 30 years. I'm like, please help me understand, just on a foundational level, what am I supposed to be looking at here? Because I'm picking up the music parts just from my music background, but the rest of it, I don't know. So it's been an interesting process. And for the most part, every year I've been getting more and more viewership. So I guess people are reading my stuff at times.
That's excellent.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, and I won't spend too much time on this, but when I started doing these live stream interviews, back then YouTube would kind of like hide certain comments if they thought they were spam or whatever. I found that folder and went through it one time back in 2020. I'm like, holy crap, look at this stuff. It was like all these negative things. Some of it was actual spam, but most of it was like people just ripping me. Typically
ripping you and not the guest?
Both sometimes. So sometimes they're strictly the guests. They had an issue with them, maybe politically or what have you, somebody that I brought on. And then other times it was me that they're ripping. And I had one guy, and I've told this story before. I had this wonderful band on from Mexico. They're three sisters called The Warning. They're very big now. At the time, they're on the up and up. And they have like a rabid fan base, and they're all about my age. They're like in their 50s. And so they loved the interview. It was my top viewed interview for the longest time. And then about, 3 months later in November, I had an interview with another young up and coming musician that's from New Jersey here in America. And the topic came up about other bands that had all female members at the time. And I'm thinking female members in an American band, not internationally. And so I didn't mention The Warning. And so one of the guys that watched that interview back in August, he messaged me this long thing on, you can imagine on YouTube, like scrolling through all this stuff on my phone about how could I, forget about them, and you're a liar, and you said you were such a fan of them back in August, and went on this whole tirade. And I'm just like, dude, I just didn't remember. And it wasn't what I was thinking, because that's not who, my brain was somewhere else. I was talking about American bands, not about international bands. Maybe I should have mentioned them. I don't know. But then it was maybe a year later, the band was actually coming here for the first time, The Warning, from Mexico. And I put a little blurb up to help promote that show. And that same guy went to my Instagram and DM'd me and said, oh, so now you remember them.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, what kind of life do you live that you have to come back and put that comment a year and a half later or whatever? So he's since been blocked. But
Oh, okay, yeah. He's too tapped in. He's too big a fan of either them or you in a parasocial toxic way.
Yeah, so I get a chance to see some of this. So when guests come on that do have like some huge social media following, and they're like, man, I don't even look at my DMs because of the kind of things are in there. I got a small taste of it.
Yeah.
You know, people giving you death threats, and you know, you shouldn't be, you shouldn't have a channel, and you know, you suck, and you know, this kind of stuff. And so that's the part that maybe some people don't realize. So when I'm writing a review or doing something, they're like, you know, it's not all roses and walking through the park and happy.
You know, it's funny. There was one random day, like months ago, and my fiance and I filmed this little sketch that is literally adapting a like a 2012 viral like 15-second video, but we stretched it out into like 3 minutes, and it was purposely like essentially an over dramatic adaptation of a meme. And we just did it on a whim. We were doing self-tapes, so we had the backdrop. We set up the table, had a couple like glasses, and then we just did the scene, and we edited it and uploaded it the same day. And I was sitting there, I was laughing. We were both laughing. We just put it up because we were you know, just kind of having fun. And someone comments, you call yourself a professional filmmaker. You know, the audio was so bad, the backdrop was so lazy, and we were like, yeah, we didn't care, and we had a great time. Yeah, but you know, it happens. Anonymity on the internet, you know, it's
I've said this before on other live streams that social media, and there are some good things about it for sure, but from the other side of it is that everyone's got a platform now.
Mm-hmm.
The person before the internet was ever around, if I didn't like something, I'd be telling my friends at school. That's the only people that really heard about it. Now I can go onto my Instagram or my TikTok or whatever and spout off for whatever I want to do. And then someone actually might listen to it, and it might go somewhere. And actually, the person I'm kibitzing about might actually be the one that comes across their purview at some point. Like, wow, this dude in Seattle really hates me, which would never happen. But just as an example, and I was the opposite. So the first video interview I ever did was Doyle Wolfgang from Frankenstein from the Misfits, and it was back in it was April of 2015. So I'm super nervous. I'd never done a video interview ever. I'm on a tour bus. The guy's very intimidating and imposing. He's totally ripped. Looks like he could just crush you, you know, with this is his finger. And because he wears makeup on stage, they didn't want me obviously doing the interview until he was fully made up, which means it pushed it to like 9:30 before we could do the interview. And so by that point, I'm just kind of spent. I'm kind of tired because I kind of worked myself up into a tizzy. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, let's just do this fucking thing and be done with it. But two things happened. I had somebody comment about, you know, if it were me, I would have done this video angle and I would have done this with the audio. And I was using like, I think it was my old iPhone 5S or whatever it was. I mean, it was that basic. And I don't feel that when you go onto a tour bus, for anybody that's watching this, you're in their world. Yes, they rent that, but that's what they live on. So I don't feel comfortable telling them what to do in terms of the sound or something else. Now I would probably, gently mention it because, hey, this will look better if we turn that off or whatever. But yeah, this guy went on this whole thing about the technical aspects of it. I'm like, I'm doing the best I can. Hopefully you liked the gist of the interview because that's the main part of it. Did you think the interview was good? And like we were talking about earlier, some folks that don't watch their films or their reviews or anything, I haven't rewatched that interview in its entirety because I'm like, it's just kind of embarrassing for me to look at. I'm like, it's not too bad, but I can see it's so stiff. And I didn't loosen up until he mentioned the Seahawks losing the Super Bowl at that time, which really pissed me off. So we got onto a whole football topic. But in any event, it's interesting that some people, you and your fiance, are filming something for fun, and then people want to sit there and just slam it. And that's this. It's like, you don't even understand why we did it. We just did it for fun. It's something we thought would be kind of, it's just interesting to throw up onto the internet or what have you. I've done some stuff where I haven't played my guitar in like 6 months, and I'll do a little short 60-second video just to show how horrible I am now. And luckily, I hadn't had too many comments, but it's usually from people that know me, who are like, what happened to your playing? Like, it's the guitar's literally dusty. I have not played it.
You just gotta
Yeah.
make sure to blow. All right.
That'll be in the next one. That's a good idea.
Yeah. You have that be in slow-mo, and then
And then I'll start to play. Yeah, and it'll be out of tune and everything else. But one thing, Josiah, that I want to ask, that's because I don't think I really understand that process, and maybe you can talk about it just for yourself. When you're looking for let's say it's a new theater production, a new play to be involved with, do you have like go-to websites, or do you have something that gets emailed to you, or a combination of things? How do you kind of find out about projects?
Yeah, so for theater, I get on the mailing list for the theaters that I enjoy going to anyway, and I enjoy working with. If anybody's interested in doing theater in the area, an easy go-to is Theater Puget Sound, also known as TPS. That website, people will do postings to it for auditions, for needing stage managers, for all that kind of stuff. That's a real easy way to do it. But a lot of the times, I've done a lot of what I've done in between doing major productions is just draft readings. So they'll do closed readings where the author will have the actors to read it, and then a few critics there, like a few of their other writers, to give feedback. And so the whole process, the whole purpose is to get this to the next draft, where maybe in a couple drafts it'll be ready for staging, in some festival or something else. And then I've also done more full-on readings where we have a live audience. They can all give feedback. But that stuff probably not going to be on TPS. That's more direct, getting contacted by the different creatives, the different writers. But TPS is good for a general, what is in the Puget Sound area that is casting. Then you don't really have to be following specific theaters. But in my case, at this point, I'm mostly getting contacted, or I'm already tapped in and getting the mailing list, essentially. Auditions for this show at Second Story, auditions for this show at the Phoenix, etc. So,
okay.
For theater, for film, I'm not as tapped in. So that's more direct contact as well. So,
okay. And when, let's say you do your audition, and like if we pick Pemberley as an example for Second Story in Redmond, great theater, by the way, everybody. Hi, Mark. 2 marks, can't be wrong.
2 marks.
Every actor that I've had a chance to talk to, at least locally, they have very different processes for how they attack the material for their character that they're going to do. So some of them are like every single day they're working on memorizing their lines before they get to any kind of tech or staging things. Other ones seem like they kind of do it in blocks. It's really kind of interesting. It's, learning things backwards from the end of the script to the front of it. What's your process tend to be?
Yeah, it's kind of boring in terms of describing it. I would say I try to make it so that I don't spend a whole lot of time at home memorizing the lines. I try to make it so when I'm at rehearsal, running it is probably the best way for me to learn the lines, because I'm a type of person where the lines are an aspect that is incorporated. This sounds like obvious, but it's incorporated with the blocking and the other actors. And I'm going to learn how I'm going to say the lines, how the logical flow of the scene goes by working with the other actors. But the benefit is that a way that I help myself understand the context of the whole show and where my bits fit in is that I will study my lines in between my points on stage. So if someone else is running their scenes, I'll be reading the lines then. But I try to avoid too much memorizing at home, because I feel at some point it just becomes, usually for monologues, that's when you spend an afternoon just kind of drilling it on the car ride, or you have someone really help you get word specific. But for the actual dialogue, that I try to learn 90% of just in the rehearsals. And Phoenix, for example, they have a much shorter rehearsal window. It's like 3.5 weeks, really. 4 weeks, and other places like Red Curtain's an example. They have like a 2.5 month, so that one's like for the musicals, I should say. That one, for me, there's no excuse for me not learning the lines running it, because we do it so many times. And then other places, I'm on the board of a Shakespeare company up in Skagit called Shakespeare Northwest. Great company, small little hidden gem, outdoor theater. That one, it is a similar timeline of 2.5 months, but you only do 3 rehearsals a week. So that's more spread out. So that one, depending on how big your role is, you might have to do some extra work at home because there's gaps in between and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, pretty boring. I kind of try to learn it there with the other actors.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. I think it's fascinating to me when I watch any play, especially when someone's going through like something that's really, really dialogue heavy. I'm like, how in the world did they memorize all of this stuff, let alone knowing where to be and how to interact with the other actors and all the timing that has to happen. And then it's also really interesting. Sometimes I've had a chance to see something and review it at the beginning of the run and then see it at the very end. Usually as a fan, I'll pay for the ticket and seeing what changes have naturally kind of happened. And that's why I definitely know that shows, the way they start is not the way they end, any of them that I've seen.
No.
And they kind of figure out what got a better reaction out of the audience. Sometimes it's something that maybe just happened on a fluke. When they did this, they got a huge laugh. They said, "Oh, make sure do that next time." I'm seeing that your fiance put a little thing here. So.
Oh man. She said she was gonna do it. So
there we go.
Oh.
There we go. Yeah. Yes.
So the point of that video, we as actors view working on shorts like these less for the production quality, more to stretch our comedy improv chops. Love to the haters, though. Evil smiley face. Yeah, agreed. That's I think obviously as an artist, any artist, you want to put your best work, but I think most artists would agree, and I definitely agree, because there's a part of me that really wants to be more of a writer, but writing is so painful. And to me it's probably one of the hardest artistic things to do, because in my opinion, when you write something, you can't really hide. As an actor, you can kind of hide behind someone else's words a little bit. Obviously, like the real you's going to come out no matter what, but your attachment to the character. But as a writer, the whole thing is just displaying something that you are thinking about, you're dwelling on. And so, when it comes to learning a new craft, I mean, for you've been, how do I write about opera? How do I write about these different things? How do I critique them? It's a different way to do this than this. But anytime you're doing it, you can't worry about the perfection. And to tie into that question, sometimes you have to just put out the silly stuff, or the stuff that is fun, and the stuff that's some people call low effort. And you're not necessarily saying this is my best work. This is what I'll send out, put in my reel. But it is valuable to stretch the muscles in a different way when you're not so focused on tinkering with it,
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Even I can think of the review that I just did for Kenny G at Jazz Alley last month. There's a lot of people that can't stand that man, and I know it. They made a documentary about him, and half of the time they're talking about that thing, and he's aware of it himself from within his own community of other professionals that have just slammed him. And in my review, I'm like, I want to make sure that it's very clear to any reader where I stand. And that's why I said that I'm a fan of Kenny G 3 different times in that review. I didn't have to take that stance, but me kind of being the way I am, I'm kind of like, well, F you if you don't like this. And I'm going to write it that way. I remember there's a cuss word in that review that I normally wouldn't put in.
Yeah.
And I 100% stood behind it. Their communication director loved it. She sent it off to him. He loved it. So I'm like, good, that's what I wanted. And if you don't like it, then move on to the next one. And the next review probably won't be like that. It'll be something more here in the middle. It won't be so opinionated. But like you're saying, me again, if I did something, I've written some things that weren't this kind of like spur of the moment, you know, and I just put it out there. Even if it's like on social media, people want to critique it. Like, what kind of shit is this, Mark? And I'm like, that's not what this was. That wasn't the intention behind it at all. And I understand why you missed the point, because maybe you think that I'm always like up here. It's like, no, I'm down here all the time.
Yeah. I think with any art, it's the balance between what's for you and what's for the audience. You know.
Yeah.
And the full spectrum of that. I mean, there can be something that's too indulgent, some may say, or there's something that's too placating to the audience. But then other times it's, I didn't make this for you, audience. I made this for me, you know. So
absolutely, I've got this idea actually for my live streams that I have to run by some local people, see if they want to take part in it, because it's something I've never done, and that would be pretty much for me. And I think some people might find it entertaining. That's what I'm going to do, and if they don't, that's fine too.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it was a new idea, so I'm always kind of trying to think, what else can I do to kind of stretch this thing, and like you said, you know, kind of use a different muscle. You don't want to keep staying in the same categories all the time, and then after a while, it becomes hard not to become complacent at some point. Or someone will tell you that you're getting complacent.
Yeah.
Sure. I see a question came in. Josiah, do you have a dream role in mind? Something you really want to tackle as an actor?
Do I get to know who sent that in? Do we have a name?
Let's see. There we go.
My buddy Sal. Okay. Dream role. There's so many roles, established roles that that I think any actor has to want to play. I'd say for a role I've wanted to play since childhood is definitely some version of Captain Hook, which might sound a little strange as an actor, but I think there's a long tradition of really fantastic character actors playing this character who may seem a little one note. But to me, my favorite kind of roles are the ones that are maybe written a bit more broadly, written a bit more one-dimensionally, or more specifically written to be unlikable. Because to me, the most rewarding roles are the ones that are written to be a little unlikable, and you have to find the humanity and make them three-dimensional, where even if the story is not going to give you give you the actual explanations or give you the time to get to know this complex person, I want the audience to believe that they have a complex psychology and that there's something about them that is human and they're not just a stock character. There's a whole bunch of others. I mean, at some point, I know It's a Wonderful Life has stage versions. George Bailey. That's just such a emotionally fraught sort of role. I'm trying to think. I literally have a list. There's a bunch. I mean, I've really wanted to do a lot more of the classic early 20th century canon, you know, O'Neill. I mean, I did a play that was the reading I did was essentially the premise was a crew puts on a streetcar, you know, essentially Desire, you know, and the character we're playing the characters in the play as these characters, Streetcar Named Desire, and I would really like to do that actual show because especially nowadays, handling that material with an intimacy coach you trust, and going to those I think we can go to those dark places if we're conscientious. I've played a lot of villains. So there's I don't think it's true that nice people always play the best villains, or mean people always play the nicest characters, but I like to think that that I, as a person, I think is pretty cool. I think playing villains is kind of what I want to do. It's harder. It's more difficult. It's easy to be just immediately liked, I guess. So, long-winded answer.
Okay. All right. But also, I mean, when you mentioned Captain Hook, it goes back to your background and your training that you're talking about, doing all the fight stuff that you've trained for being on stage and doing it safely. That, I mean, what better character?
Yeah. And, you know, that'd be really great to play Captain Hook and be the fight captain. And then if Peter Pan's, you know, it depends on what kind of production. Is it the musical? Is it a stage version? Do you have you know, in the musical, they often have an older woman playing it. You know, if you have a child playing the role, you can give them the training that will you know, allow them to face off against you playing Captain Hook. So I'm really intrigued by that idea of like training them while playing off them and making them look good and giving them the taste for it. Because I am in the infant stages, but I have started a coaching business, and stage combat is an aspect of that. So yeah, it just sounds cool. I don't know.
Okay, cool. So we're getting kind of close to winding this interview down.
Yeah.
I obviously have to ask you, what were some of your favorite films last year?
Last year, I will look at my phone, but I can name a few off the top of my head. I thought Weapons was a really fun and somewhat insane horror film. I'm not spoiling it, but essentially there was a point in the theater where I realized this was 2 hours of building up to one joke. But it was well earned as a joke, you know. There's another film. It's what I call a Gen Alpha cinema. But I watched it because I was curious, and I gotta tell the audience, K-pop Demon Hunters is a banger. It's a really good movie. The music is great, the animation is great, the characters have heart. You know, let me see. I have a few more that I'll point out real quick. Bugonia was a great film. You know, Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone killed it. That's a really great, weird drama. I won't speak too much about it. Superman. I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit I cried in the theater. Hope restored. You know, you know. Sinners. Sinners was another great one. And here's one. I'll do this just to be controversial. I'll do two more. So there's a indie film that you can find on Tubi, I believe, called The Devil and the Daylong Brothers. It's a Southern Gothic musical action movie made on a limited budget, but I think it's pretty great. And then another one that I'm going to risk my reputation slightly. It's a part of the Pooniverse, so those public domain films, but Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare is a surprisingly good, with something to say about our society, horror film. It's derivative for sure, but it actually is a film. It's not like Bambi the Reckoning or whatever. But I don't know, Mark. Did you like any of those I named?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I really enjoyed Sinners. Weapons was another one. I saw Weapons at home though, so I think the impact would have been greater if I was in the theater.
Yeah,
still liked it. I go way back with specifically horror as a genre. So I mean, I was like probably single digits when I started watching horror films. It's probably why I'm all messed up now. But I was going to mention one that I reviewed that I think
Yeah.
I went under the radar. It's very independent, I believe. And I think it was that director's first directorial debut. I think she's been more on the production side of things. Now I'm trying to remember the name of it. Bob Trevino Likes It. That's what it was called. And I believe it's on Hulu now.
I've
And
heard something about it.
it has John Leguizamo in it, and I forget the gal who's so wonderful in the lead. It's a day-to-day drama, and it's based on a true story that happened to the director, where she's been kind of not getting along with her father, and she thinks she found somebody like on social media that is her dad, and it turns out it's just somebody with the same name. And they kind of have their own holes in their lives, and they kind of find out they're filling each other's, those holes. I just found it really, really heartfelt, and a lot of times it's pretty hard for me to get too emotional about a film. That one got me emotional both times when I watched it. When I reviewed it, and when I came to Hulu, I watched it again, and I reached out to the director, and she was just like, that's so wonderful. That's how it impacted you. And I was trying to actually get her to come on, and she was in the middle of some kind of press junket for Europe or something. But anyway, that's definitely a film I would consider checking out. But I know I'm forgetting something else that I didn't know what was going on with that whole movement with Ne Zha 2 in China, with an animated film that, it was the highest grossing film over there.
Yeah.
And so I got caught up in all that. So I went and saw it in the theater with the subtitled version. And I'm not a big animation film fan, but that film was like nothing I've ever seen. It was like, especially the last hour and a half, it was like, okay, this must be the finale. No, there's another finale. Oh no, there's another finale. And it just kept going and going and building. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I saw in China when it was released in IMAX. And then over in the States, it wasn't. But then because of the success it was having in the States, they put the IMAX version in for like 2 weeks. So I'm like, I think I need to find a theater that has IMAX and has this. So I saw it a second time. And then A24 picked it up and dubbed it in English. So then I saw that version. I don't recommend that version. That's the version that's out on HBO Max right now. So it's only the dubbed version. It just doesn't work. There's too many cultural things. The jokes that are in Mandarin need to happen. And it just like, no, I love Michelle Yeoh, but I don't need to hear you in English speaking for this character.
I'll be sure to check those out. I like to keep growing my watch list because there's so much to explore.
And it's been, I've have one movie that, so I like all kinds of different films, and so with me growing up in the 80s, I remember like reading, renting something that you're like, what the hell movie is this? And you didn't even know it existed. Some B movie, barely a budget. But I saw this trailer for something about killer whale, like a killer orca whale that's coming out this month. And every now and then I'll get lucky that I'll see some trailer. I'm like, oh, this looks kind of fun. I don't expect it's like a popcorn movie. And then I'll get a email invite to review it. And that happened. That just showed up in my inbox today. So I have the screener to watch that movie and review it. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. That happened with Terrifier 2 as well. I was already a fan of the first film, and then I looked at my inbox and I'm like, oh, damn, there's that. They have the second one coming on. They want me to review it. I think part of that had to do with I'd interviewed one of the producers, though, during COVID. So that's how I kind of got onto that little rope. But yeah, every now and then I'll get something like, I wouldn't mind seeing that in the theater. And oh, shit, I can just watch it at home right now and review it. And sometimes if it is good, I do go watch it in the theater. I'll see it, the way it's supposed to be seen, kind of a thing. So, yeah. Well, hey, Josiah, it was awesome getting a chance to talk to you about your work and everything else you have going on. But before we completely sign off, what do you have coming up here in 2026?
Absolutely. I'll give the two main ones. There's a found footage horror movie that I am in. I am a major supporting character. It's called House at the Edge of the Woods. It hit a few festivals. I'm not sure about the future as far as that goes, but there is physical distribution coming. And the thing that I talked to Mark about that I know he's really invested in is there has been some serious effort into making a authentic VHS edition. Now, this edition will be formatted correctly and with this enough grain to make you buy that it was made maybe 30 years ago. Probably more than that now. And last VHS, no. But it's really good. I don't want to spoil it, but I have an interesting turn with my character. It's made with some people I really like. If you listen closely, you can hear my fiance in the film. And other than that, there's another film. It's an art house drama called Rehearsal, working title. That is in its final phases of shooting. There will be a screening, probably closed, but then festival run. And other than that, I have a production of Hamlet I will be doing up in Skagit with Shakespeare Northwest as Laertes. That's what I got going on. Other than that, I'm just working hard, making the plans for the future, doing cool stuff like this with Mark. Mark, thanks so much for having me on as your first guest of the year. It's the first full-length interview I've done, honestly.
Oh, wow.
So,
Well,
yeah.
You know, the pleasure's mine, and I'm so glad that you were my first interview. And also, again, the first local actor that's probably, hopefully, if I'm lucky, will become a series of where people can have a playlist. And the first one will say Josiah Miller there, and they'll go through, 15 or 20 of them or what have you.
I have a feeling you're gonna get some good stories, get some great people coming through here. And if you ever want recommendations, there's definitely some people that you've reviewed, you've seen, and I think they would be more than happy to talk to you if you want me to hook you up with them. So.
Yeah, you know what? I probably will be reaching out to you about that,
Cool.
so I can kind of compare lists and kind of see that there could be some people that maybe I'm missing too.
Sure.
So Mark, they'd be a ton of fun to have come on. I love that kind of thing. It helps cut down the homework.
Yeah.
But thank you to everybody that's been watching and people that are watching it down the road. And make sure you check out Josiah's work. And if you're here locally, hopefully I get a chance to actually see you in person, sooner than later.
Yeah, I have a website, www.josiahcmiller.com. That's the easiest way to get access to everything. It's not relevant, but Mark, I'm going to send you, I think, another music video that I don't think I've sent you yet that you might like. Because I didn't know you were into metal as much, so that's definitely something that I'll keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Send it to me. My first concert was Kiss in 1979, and I, from metal, punk to blues, a little bit of country, jazz, all the genres now. But my bread and butter will always be hard rock and metal, and that'll never change until the day I die. So looking forward to it. All right, thanks so much, Josiah. Have a good one, and Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to the audience. Have a good one.
Take care, everybody.